Happy birthday to all the Scorpios. It's pre-Scorpio season. Pre-Scorpio season starts September 1st. I myself am a Scorpio, so I welcome you all to pre-Scorpio season. While I welcome you to season 2, episode 1 of the Black Nashville Assembly podcast, I'm Erica Perry. I'm an attorney, an organizer with the Black Nashville Assembly. I'd like to welcome my friends. You want to introduce yourselves?
Yes, sir, man. It's Jamel Campbell Gooch, community organizer, Nashville native, and I just ended running for City Council District 21 in Nashville. Yes, sir.
Yo, it's Mike Floss. You know what I'm saying? In the vibrant Five Fingers. Down south where my mind lingers. In Texas, we ride swingers. We out here with the Black Nashville Assembly podcast, ready to get into this episode. It's good to be back.
It's good to be back. We took a small break to do some work. Get out here this election season. So, we want to talk a little bit about this summer's election, the work we did together, talk about some lessons and wins, and also some opportunities, what we got moving forward. But before we get into that, we got to start with some news.
Yes, sir.
All right. Who want to start?
Man, I can go first.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I can go first. So, my news, since the last time we spoke, there was a special session on gun violence. Our governor called it special sessions because there was a shooting at an elementary school called Covenant. Mm-hmm. Yes. And so they had a special session. What was supposed to happen is they were supposed to do some work on gun
reform.
Gun reform. They didn't really say that, but that's what it kind of. It was true. About. It was supposed to be
very ambiguous.
Yeah, it was supposed to be about gun violence. Well, long story short, they ain't really getting nothing done.
Okay.
They spent most of the time doing what?
So they had one bill that was wild. What it was going to do is it was going to arm it was going to allow any teacher to be armed, but it was also going to allow any law enforcement, former law enforcement, current duty military, former military, or enhancement permit carrier to be able to go into schools with firearms. And you would not be able to stop them or bar them from any school from doing that.
Which is so interesting because I feel like not too long ago there were laws, and they might still exist, where it was like you would get enhanced punishment if you were accused of committing offense, which involved a gun close to a school.
Right.
And now they're like, oh, we want to give y'all guns.
And what was wild is, so it was tied in the education committee, so it didn't make it to the floor. Mm-hmm. So it was tied in the education committee at the state legislature.
It's tied up in there?
It was tied. So when they did the vote, it was a tie vote.
Oh.
And what that meant is that it didn't move forward. So that doesn't mean that it won't return in January when our state legislature comes back in the session.
Right. That's scary also. Was there anything else they did?
Not really. That was the major one because that was the one. That's the one because you could just imagine what that means is there's going to be more guns everywhere in our schools. So just imagine like anybody and you could either conceal it or show it.
So right, and then there were if you have a permit, is that right?
Enhanced carry permit.
Okay,
and that's what they proposed. Or did that go through?
They voted on it in the education committee.
But it didn't get out of that committee.
Get out of it because when it's tied, it doesn't move forward.
Right. Okay. So then, I know they passed some legislation around police in schools, right?
So they passed a budget allotment. So if you want police in your schools, essentially you can apply for these grants from the state. And they'll give you more police. And we know that police in schools actually don't make our young people safer.
Right.
So there was an overall just hardening of our schools. That's also taking place at a local level as people reach for those things. But also, what was interesting is there was a lot of direct action happening at the state level from the folks that were involved from the parents and stuff that were involved in the Covenant loss.
Right.
And those people pushed back against putting police in our schools. Oh, my
goodness. And I have a few more questions because I know there were a few more laws that were proposed, right? Yep. And we released some info on our Instagram, just kind of talking a little bit about what the Tennessee State Legislature was up to.
For sure.
This in August.
And so, like you said, like if you want to check that out, you want to really go through it. If you about your research, not your me search. Mm-hmm. You can go to our Instagram at Southern Movement Committee and look at our slides. And what we're talking about is we try to condense the state legislator and what happened to the state legislator into a very consumable way. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to look that up, you can.
Right. That's really important. Please check that out. And then also look at the call to action where we talk a little bit about how you can address the way that a lot of the ways that folks talk about, especially when it comes to elected officials, talk about gun reform or gun violence, is it usually means more incarceration,
Absolutely.
more surveillance, more criminalization instead of getting to the root of the problem. And so just even thinking about, there's a bill that was on the governor's desk that gives $50 million in grant funding to mental health agencies, which we have to be cautious about that. Because we have to be cautious about that, at least from my understanding, because sometimes mental health services can also be used as a tool to actually incarcerate our people in hospitals, in mental health hospitals, or it can be used as a tool to surveil our people. So we have to be careful about that also.
And we've seen jails rebrand themselves as mental health facilities, and we've seen police officers actually rebrand themselves as mental health practitioners.
Right.
And so we know that also that if we don't really have a conversation around like mental health support services in the abolitionist framework, that there's a possibility and a strong one that it'll just replicate what's already harming us.
Right. So it's just a few things that are alarming. Well, not just a few, but a number of things that are alarming that happen in August during this special session that we have to be aware and also get involved and organize together to start to continue to fight the way that our communities continue to be surveilled and criminalized, as opposed to like actual real investments in folks' homes, in food, in healthcare, and in education, like real education and liberated curriculums. And so thank you for, go ahead.
And to tie a bow on this before we move to the second piece of news, we also, if you want to do some more research, we're also about to start highlighting examples of police-free schools, because this is not a thing that's just like happening, locally.
Right.
Like there's a movement across the country, and has been for quite some time, to get police out of schools and actually do holistic investments into our young people. So if you want to check that out, I'm pretty sure that's going to be dropping soon. But there's been wins. Black Organizing Project in Oakland, Bob. It was some wins in Wisconsin. It was some wins in Iowa. So it's been places where they've actually been able to transform their school environment where it is more welcoming and less criminalization of our young people.
And I love that you said that, because I also want to just go off of that and name that folks should also check out our Instagram. I think it's Southern Movement Co.
Yes, it is.
Because not only do we have the information on the special session, but also we have information on why Tennessee needs police-free schools, and give some examples of some of the harm that's happened by that the ways that police have been harmful in schools throughout Tennessee. So I hope folks look at that and then continue to follow us as we lift up examples of what could be possible in Tennessee. And just want to plug, we are hiring for a youth organizer and political organizer. So if you I want to join the fight, check us out at rsmc.org/careers to see what's up. Yep. I want to talk a little bit about continuing in addressing the criminalization of our communities and incarceration targeted policing of our communities. We also look to Georgia, specifically Atlanta, who organizers and volunteers are fighting to stop Cop City from being built in Atlanta. And so just in that vein, last month, the state of Georgia, the Attorney General specifically indicted over 61 activists. Yep. Over 61 RICO charge for folks who were to try to slow down and prevent the win that the people are building towards stopping Cop City. And so that's just really, really important to name. And in uplifting news, throughout the last few months, organizers, volunteers, activists came together to get folks to sign the petition, and over 116,000 people signed that petition demanding that Atlanta City Council add the Cop City referendum to the ballot. And so that's coming up for vote soon in the Atlanta City Council, but just in solidarity with them and their fight to stop Cop City, because we know that, what happens in Atlanta and Georgia also is tied to what we see happening in Nashville and across the state of Tennessee. Yep. I'm gonna pass it to my good friend Mike.
Yeah. So okay. So you know what I'm about to do. So I don't know if everybody knows this. I didn't know this till this morning.
How'd you find out? I'm curious.
Instagram.
Yeah, IG.
Dr. Umar Johnson is in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yes,
The King Kong consciousness.
The Prince of Pan-Africanism.
Big Papa.
Yeah.
Is in Nashville, Tennessee today.
Debuting at Tennessee State.
And he did something at TSU. He also did something at the Museum of African American Music. I think he's actually doing it right now as we doing this podcast.
Yeah.
And I would just pay so much money, Bitcoin, services, whatever it takes to. Somebody needs to put him on Twitch and do a 24-hour live stream.
It's coming.
Of everything he did in Nashville, Tennessee.
It's coming.
Because I am very much so curious.
No, for sure.
As to how he has experienced Broadway.
Yeah,
where
because he's on Broadway right now. He's on Broadway right now. You know that hot take coming.
And if you're not from Nashville, Broadway is honky tonk central,
bro.
Where all of the country music bars is, where all of the drunk white people is, where all of that's happening there, all of the tourists, all of the bridesmaids,
dirty.
That's where they go. We don't be over there like that unless we at Slim and Huskies or the museum. Yeah. So I would be curious to see what he has been receiving and putting out.
He's somewhere snapping right now. He's going off right now.
Furious.
And also, it's the African Street Festival. So you already know he's about to do a walkthrough.
Oh, for
got
sure.
to. We gonna be out there.
He gonna look like Gucci in 2006 in Atlanta. It's gonna be so many people with him at the African Street Festival. That's gonna be
Stop.
crazy.
You not lying because it's the African Street Festival.
African Street Festival. And if you don't know nothing about Nashville, look, the African Street Festival, we are so used to it that they don't even advertise it.
They do advertise it, but
where was it at?
I didn't on Instagram. I've been seeing it on Instagram for like the past.
They don't put it on
3 weeks.
If you showed up at Nashville right now, went to Halley Park tomorrow around 12, you would think that this was on the news.
Nah,
that there was
real.
a Facebook group talking about this. That it was in the paper. No, bro.
Yeah.
It's just every year around this time.
In our hearts and in our bodies to just go to Halley Park.
Yeah. You just know to do that. And you can smell it when you drive down the street.
That's real.
I smell incense, fish.
Shout out to Pepper Pot, who was down there. Okay, I'm sure making some delicious cabbage.
Honestly, the best cabbage that you're going to get. But also, I got a few shout outs. As we talk about Africa Street Fest, it just reminds me of how we're connected throughout the diaspora.
Come on.
Top Boy is back.
Yeah.
We watching that. What you
on
saying,
Netflix.
bro? We also want to shout out the homie Spencer Badu.
Yes, sir.
In Toronto, who just dropped a new collection.
Yes,
Come on
sir.
to the 3D sunglasses.
You said what?
The 3D sunglasses.
The 3D sunglasses go crazy. The 3D printed sunglasses. And I also want to shout out my dad. He's got a piece showing at the Frisk Center. It's called Multiplicity. Ra Magaha. A lot of collage artists and different artists using multiple mediums of visual arts are at the Frisk. A really black showing that's up at the Frisk. So check that out if you're around.
About Shabazz Museum of Presence.
Fire.
That's been launched, and also they had an art gala to highlight his work, as well as another BNA member, Lysander Bryant. So we got a really cool art scene going on here in Nashville. So if you want to check it out, you can definitely get tuned into that through the Black Nashville Assembly.
And you should definitely check out Floss's freestyle on a Museum of Presence.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I do have a freestyle.
He got a fire take.
What's it called? 16 for the city?
Yeah, but it might have been like a lot more than 16.
It was a loaded clip. He let them on rock on that, man.
Yeah. And Ro Marquez too has a freestyle as well.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful. Where can they find is it a magazine or paper? Where can they find it?
If you just search the Museum of Presence, it'll come up.
Okay, yeah. So it's beautiful. It's wonderful art in it. And then there are even playlists. So I think Clarence has a playlist. Yeah,
Afro Sheen has a playlist. Yeah. There's a lot of playlists. And also if you're around town in Nashville, your local coffee shops in East Nashville, Al-Kabalon in North Nashville.
I'll keep on talk that.
Is just, a legendary black bookstore here in the city. RIP to OG. Mm-hmm. And yeah, man, it's really cool, man. We have a really nice art scene here.
I love that. Thank you for lifting it up. That felt so powerful. And I'm really grateful because I feel like since I've been working with y'all, I feel like I've been in more proximity to art
yes, sir.
in Nashville. I remember when Lee had his show at the Frisk. That was Black history, y'all. That was a Black history.
I also want to name that Lee had more attendance at his showing at the Frisk than Pablo Picasso. He had the biggest turnout that the Frisk had ever seen in the history of all of their exhibits. So Lee really made history straight out of Nashville, straight out of the South.
Yes, sir.
And we want to honor and respect that
for real,
as he's one of our BNA members.
Right. I have his pieces up in my house. Brilliant,
and
brilliant photographer.
He's one of our first guests on this podcast.
Right. First guest. Also, when we started the Black Nashville Assembly, photographer.
Yes.
Immediately. The first one. Yeah, the first one. When we had on, I think I had on a hat, some shorts, and a white shirt. We was out in North Nashville. Nah, it was beautiful.
He in Trinidad right now, going crazy with our people out there.
Yes, so, come on.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to Lee.
And shout out to the diaspora.
Awesome. Yep. So, let's talk a little bit about what we got going on in Nashville, what Black folks been up to in Nashville, and also some of the things that have been happening just in the landscape that we're in right now. What happened last night?
Ooh.
It's election.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, so we got a new mayor.
We do.
And we knew we was gonna have a new mayor before this because the current mayor was like, I'm not running again. Which we can talk about this later, but the current mayor is a manifestation of really old money.
Who we do not rock with.
Oh no. And if you anywhere in Nashville, just to let you know, our current mayor, Mayor Cooper, is related to the McGavics. We got high schools named after them, all kind of stuff. It's just like a really old
streets
family in Nashville. But now we have a brand new mayor. On top of that, we have a couple of new folks in city council. The way our city council is laid out, we have just so the listeners know, we have the third largest city council in the country behind Chicago and New York, but we don't have nearly as many people. So, but we have 35 districts, 5 at large. The at large city council pretty much just kind of govern over the whole city. And so right now, and I'm not sure if this is the first time in history, but we have 5 women
that were elected.
That are at large.
Yeah, so Freddie O'Connell won last night, beating Alice Rowley, right? And then at large, who do we get?
At large, we have we have Zoe Fassoir, who didn't have to do the runoff. She ran straight out. She won straight out.
Yep.
So that meant that we have 4 positions to fill on the runoff. We got Delicia Porterfield, Quinn Siegel, Olivia Hill, and
Berkeley Allen. Yep. And then I think it's interesting because 2 of the folks who won last night have already been on council.
Berkeley Allen.
And Delicia
Porterfield.
Right.
Delicia Porterfield is making the transition between being a district council person, which she was mainly in Antioch, to an at-large council person. So and now she's over the whole city.
That's interesting because, Olivia Hill and Quinn have not been on council. This will be their first time on council.
Quinn, actually, which is interesting, lived in Russ Pulley's district. Which was a previous at-large city council member who lost this time. Well, he was a previous district council member, but he lost this time.
Yeah, and Jeff Syracuse lost too, who was also a council member out of Donaldson or Hermitage?
Donaldson.
Yeah, so they had been termed out of their district seats and ran for at-large. And then the other thing, just going back to thinking about just the at-large candidates, so those 2, Delicia and Berkeley Allen, were already in council. So I'm interested to see what they do over the next 4 years, whether they push and usher the city towards actually investing in affordable housing, increasing wages for Metro employees, and investments in actually young people's future, not young people's incarceration and arrest.
And what's interesting is, so we saw two things that pretty much would obliterate someone's chances of being on council. One is to vote yes to the license plate readers.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're listening, you're not in Nashville. Recently, we expanded surveillance by putting license plate readers all over the city.
Yeah.
Automated license plate readers. And then the second one was the yes vote for the Titan Stadium. If you have both of those on your record, Russ Pulley and Jeff Syracuse, who didn't make it, both voted yes to both of those things.
Right. But
did anybody that voted yes to both of those things get pushed back into council?
I don't think, not at large.
Not at large, but in their district, yes. Yeah, I think Tom Cash, Courtney Johnson.
Some of the districts is on that.
Yeah.
But some of them ran uncontested, like Courtney Johnson.
But Tanya Hancock she barely won by like 35 votes against Stephanie Montenegro.
So a lot of people did. A lot of our city council. Again, we have the third largest in the country with 40. A lot of our city council ran unattested because they didn't know if. Remember at the beginning of the election.
Oh right, because they were going to downside the state.
Downside city council.
Passed that law, right?
The state passed a law that was going to force Nashville to shrink city council to I think it was like 30 members, 25 districts, and 5 at large, I believe.
Yeah, it might have been even less.
I think it was less.
Yeah,
it might
I
have
think
been
it was
20
less.
actually.
Yeah, I think it was 20.
But the city sued the state, which is interesting.
Because they always talk about preemption, but they sued for their jobs.
And the only time they sue is when it come to their money.
So let me put this in every day. Yeah. All right. So the city council is a group of people, right, that are elected to govern particular neighborhoods and areas throughout the city.
For sure, geographic areas. Yep.
Typically, when the people make demands, oftentimes the response we hear from that group of elected officials is, we can't do nothing about this because the state is going to preempt it.
Which means the state going to stop it from happening.
The state's going to block us. We can't do it.
We can't do it.
Now, the state passed a law that was supposed to reduce the amount of people on city council completely.
Yeah.
And we can get into the history of what that is. We may not have time to do that in this moment. But there's a long history of racism as to why the city council looks like the way it does right now. Anyway,
the 40-member.
The 40-member city council. But the state said, we finna cut some of these jobs, basically. It's going to be some layoffs.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's going to be layoffs.
At the state,
So what the city council did is said, we're going to push back against the state and we're going to file a lawsuit against the state. And they won.
No, for sure.
So what we've been saying is, we understand the state is going to try to stop us. We know we live in Tennessee.
Right.
But we have enough power and political will to where if we say, hey, this is how we want to run our city, and we band together and we make a stand, we can stop the state from controlling what it is that we do. And they exercised that when it came to reducing the amount of city council. But when it comes to all these other things we talk about, they don't even try.
No, they don't even try. Since they lost there were a few losses, right, when it came to reducing, I want to say it's decriminalizing certain amounts of marijuana, and then it was like
the Airbnb bill.
The Airbnb
bill. It was an inclusionary zoning
I think
bill.
Ranked choice voting that happened in Memphis. Yeah.
So the state is
always COB.
So the state is always doing that.
I'm gonna break it down even more simple, just in case anybody's still not catching it. City council said, if you're gonna fire me, I'm gonna sue you.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna make life hell for my people, I'm gonna throw my hands up and say there ain't nothing I can do.
I can't do nothing.
Now, that's not everybody in city council.
No,
it's enough, though.
It's more of them.
It's 22 of them.
Yeah.
At least 22.
It's a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's a lot of them. And shout out to the people on city council that is fighting for the people.
No,
right.
Sure.
Shout out to you. So the other thing is Freddie won last night. Right. He's out 3. Right. They get to the 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Shout out Zolfat. That's game.
Yeah. Freddie won.
I wouldn't say that.
All 3, y'all.
To a degree. We can edit it out.
Hold on. Freddie O'Connor won. The trajectory about Freddie is, just so y'all know, he was a district.
Hold on. Start again with Freddie O'Connor won.
So Freddie O'Connor won. District 19 is where he was before. District 19 is half of Jefferson Street in the downtown. Now, we can talk about how Jefferson Street is considered downtown, which changes the zone.
It's tricky.
We can talk about that, but we ain't gonna talk about that. But Freddie came from that area and then and District 19 also includes downtown.
Right.
So Freddie
in Germantown.
And a little bit of it used to include a little bit of South Nashville.
Just for folks that's not from Nashville that's listening, or folks that recently moved here, Germantown, Jefferson Street, District 19, a lot of that is North Nashville, which is a very historically black area. We have TSU there, we have Fisk there, we have American Baptist College there, we have Meharry there. We got 4 HBCUs basically within 2-3 miles of each other. All of that was split up by interstate. It was split up by a lot of things that got pushed through by policy through city council. So when we talk about removing and taking power, and the state as well, when we talk about removing and taking power, that's what we're talking about, because all of these policies control our material conditions.
That's real. That's real.
So Freddie won. It's supposed to. He won. He won. The person that he was running against was definitely a Trumpster. You know what I'm saying? They made news for having a literal Proud Boy on their comms team.
No, they PR person was a Proud Boy.
A card carrying. I'm not denying
the person that's supposed to make you look good
was a Proud Boy, bro.
Yo, that's wild.
So it lets you know what their priorities is.
Right, where they was coming from.
Absolutely.
I know some of the folks
and
was
they
like,
made the runoff. They beat everybody else.
That's wild.
They was number two. A runoff election happens. So how many people ran for mayor?
It was a lot. 17, 15,
12. 16. Hold on, I can count.
It wasn't
12.
I think it was about 12.
I'm going to count for you. Let's count for her.
Let's count them out.
12. Name
Letitia Brooks won. Fran Bush won. Heidi Campbell.
Hold on, wait.
My bad. You right.
Say the names.
I'll say it.
I'll count the numbers.
Yeah, say the
okay, let's try it again.
Letitia Brooks.
1.
Fran Bush.
2.
Heidi Campbell.
3.
Bernie Cox.
4.
Jim Gingrich.
5.
Sharon Hurt.
6.
Stephanie Johnson.
7.
Freddie O'Connell.
8.
Alice Rowley.
9.
Vivian Woodhoyt.
10.
Matthew Wilshire.
11.
Jeff Yarbrough.
12. Okay, yeah, it was 12. It was Jesus.
That's a lot of people.
And the 12.
That's a lot of people, y'all. That's a lot of people.
It was 12 people running for mayor.
Did you say Alice Rowley?
Out of out of those 12,
we also did have a candidate for him. I just want to name that, but go ahead.
we had a candidate for him that
Alice Rowley did not come to.
Black church, bro.
Because
Black church.
probably her values are so
The
far.
Proud Boy and her team was like, absolutely not.
They finna get you up out of there.
Absolutely not.
We had 12 people running for mayor, which is a whole lot of people to run for mayor. And Alice Rowley was number 2 here.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Number 2.
Yeah.
And she had the farthest, most right-wing conservative red values out of anybody on that roster.
Everybody.
And she wore it on her shoulder too.
Man,
like that's what it was. But I got Proud Boys as my PR team.
That's me.
Well, she got 20,000 votes that first time to Freddie O'Connell's 27,000. Matt Wilshire got 17,000. Jeff Yarbrough got 12. So also I will say like the more progressive candidates were split.
Yeah.
So that might have been some of the reason why she was able to get 7,000 votes less than Freddie O'Connell to make it to the runoff.
And it really just proves the need for local organizing, because there's no reason for this many candidates to be running against each other if people had clearly defined politics.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And if people decided to draw a line in the sand and say we're not gonna cross this line. Yeah. So there's a lot happening there. I think I don't want to linger us here too long, but I do think it's something to be said about the experience of black folks.
No, for sure.
When the top 2 people that's running for mayor is so harshly contrasted.
No, for sure.
Right.
And so what we doing is we're having a post-election mass meeting on Saturday, September 30th. So if you're in Nashville, you can register at blacknashvilleassembly.org/mass meeting. We're having a post-election mass meeting because a lot of the politics might change on the ground. I'm not saying like we're not in due for a fight, because I think no matter which one of those people would have won, we in for a fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think it's a different sort of fight with Freddie.
Yeah.
With Mayor O'Connell.
Yeah, one interesting thing to know, just the voting data, is the number of people registered to vote that's going up, right, each year. Well, 2015, 2019, 2023, which is like when we have our local elections. Yeah. That's going up, but that doesn't necessarily mean the number of more people are voting in the local election. Mm-hmm. So that's a lesson for us to think about as I get into kind of talking about our work this summer.
Yeah, and that was one thing I ran into on doors, you know what I'm saying, when we was canvassing, is like people saying like, I don't vote in the presidential election.
Right.
I'm only voting local. So that was one thing we ran into locally, is like people are very much aware. Some folks, I think certain people fall into 2 different categories. I think on one hand, you might have somebody who just like, I see more value in voting for the president than voting locally. But then on the other hand, it's people out here that just has never been invited to vote locally. So
that's like, real. And that just makes me think about our work. I want to talk a little bit now, if I can switch us. Do we have more time? Because you're doing this. I don't know what this means.
That means go, Erica.
Okay, sorry. I was confused.
Yeah.
All right, let's get it then. So.
Who shot you? I don't care who shot you because he ain't. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Somebody did.
So, So, I want to talk about the BNA work, then the BNV work, our sister org, and then if we can talk about your work. Does that sound good?
Let's do it.
So just for the BNA, we was like, yo, Black Nashville Assembly, we're going to work to encourage and invite people to vote this summer. Right. And so we started in the spring with the concert. Remember that concert?
Oh, man.
Right.
Sold it out.
Sold it out. Third Man. Shout out to that. That was amazing. Check out the recap video on the Black Nashville Assembly YouTube. And then we had block meetings, which we've been having block meetings all year as a way to, as a part of our city council watch, to be like, what's going on in city council, explaining what city council does, to reiterate how important it is to vote in the local election. And then, and remind people like, this is why we're voting. And then we also had other like block meetings that existed outside of the city council watch. So remember, we had like the happy hour.
Yeah, we had a happy hour
at Trenches.
Shout out to Trenches. Shout out Tell a Friend. Shout out to Big Homie.
Shout out to Ivo. Absolutely.
Yeah, shout out to Paige. Shout out to Jay. All of the people that's embedded in this culture here in Nashville, Tennessee. We out north in District 21, getting the people to understand the amount of power that they actually have. Yeah,
and then we also had a block meeting at your house.
Yes, we did. Shout out to Meg Pye, the homie. Shout out to True. We had an art gallery with some of the visual artists, creatives, writers, just the homies, just black folks that's out there. You know, shout out to all the homies that live in Bordeaux. We had a block meeting. I'm curious. Okay, never mind. So we had a block meeting at the crib where we basically had conversations with people and just beginning to see where people are at when it comes to voting, see what people's thoughts are around electoral politics, and also let people know that there's options for you to let your voice be heard as it comes to people and candidates that share your same political views and it affects your actual neighborhood. So the block meeting structure is a really strong structural program that we have. And I also want to name, we got to see where people were at.
Right, yeah.
We got to see where people were at, what they were thinking, how they feel when it comes to this whole system. And, you know, I don't know if we were too much surprised, but I do think it's important to just talk to your people and have an understanding of what the ecosystem feels like.
Yeah. And just even thinking about what the ecosystem, what our base thinks about. We had an assembly, I believe that was in May, it might have been May or late April, where we actually brought people together and we had a mock vote.
Yeah.
And that was a blind vote where we were like, we didn't name who the candidates were, but we named like their values and their voting record. Mm-hmm. And so that was one place where people got to see, okay, here are my values and here are the people who align with it or don't align with it, to kind of help prepare them to really vote in the August election. And then we had 2 cookouts, because we're going to have a cookout, yo. That's a way to get people registered to vote, invite people into voting, but also talk about, I think you at the mass meeting in May, you did a lesson on, what was your lesson on? I think it was on like the role that the work that folks have done in the past using elections as a tool.
It was like, how do we go from Loudoun County Freedom Organization to vote or die?
Right. Yeah, that was good. Yeah. That was good. Right. Yep. That was good because we, in the book club, we had read Black Power, the Politics of Liberation, and then we watched Loudoun County. What's the name of that documentary?
I think it's called Loudoun County, but
it's called
a documentary about how the people in Loudoun County use the electoral system as a tool to achieve power in their hometown.
Right.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's where we first see the use of the Black Panther as a political party symbol.
Exactly.
And they are the first people that are deemed the Black Panther Party, which they were not the Black Panther Party. There was a Loudoun County Freedom Organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the national media deemed them the Black Panther Party.
Right.
And they were the motivation behind Huey P. and
Kwame Ture.
No.
Bobby Seale.
Oh, okay. Because they saw what they were doing, and they called theirs the Black Panther Party for self-defense. And so Loudoun County ended up just being absorbed by the Democratic Party.
Right.
Because of the Black Panther organizing around.
But SNCC was down there organizing with the folks in Loudoun County, and in the way that they talked about the election and registering people to vote, and even inviting people and mobilizing people to vote, was also a part of like a larger piece of work around like actually base building to continue to work beyond that election as well. Yep. And to invite people to do a thing that they hadn't yet done before.
In Loudoun County, the state organizer for SNCC was H. Rap Brown. So free Jamil Alameen, who is currently in prison.
Free all political prisoners.
Shout out to Black Power Media. I Mix What I Like. Shout out to shout out to the Loudoun County Freedom Organization's documentary. It's on Peacock. That's not an ad. We're not vouching for them, but that's where you can watch it at. It was really helpful for us. We watched it after we finished reading Black Power.
It's Loudoun County and the Road to Black Power. Okay. That's the name of it.
Loudoun County and the Road to Black Power. Yeah. So we read Black Power by, at the time, Stokely Carmichael, but also Kwame Ture and Charles Hamilton. And we read that in our book club. Yeah. And then at the end of that, we watched the documentary. Right. And we saw some gaps, right? But we also saw some of the harsh realities of Black folks being disheartened by the electoral system.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And that's a tool, that's an oppressive tool that's used because we try to play the game when they play the game and they change the rules.
Yeah.
Right? And we saw that happen. We saw it happen in Nashville. We see the effects of it happening over time. And what we were talking about earlier, me and Erica, was about Black folks' emotional disposition towards change. Yeah. Right. So something that I think is important just to bring up in this moment is like a lot of times working class, poor folks, Black folks in the South, when change happens, it's my rent just went up. Yeah. The company had layoffs.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Or change happens, my Medicaid is being cut off. Right. Or whatever the case may be.
It's more police in my community.
It's more police in my community.
In North Nashville.
Yeah, it's people walking poodles barefoot out north. Like, what is that? What are we doing?
Well, I'm getting pushed out because I can't afford my rent no more.
I can't afford to live here, and the Airbnbs is making more money than I can afford to spend to pay my rent in the neighborhood I grew up in. So a lot of times Black folks' disposition towards change is actually really, really harmful. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Even if we talk about Barack's election, when change was the mantra. Yeah. You know what I mean? But also we experienced a massive recession and a massive amount of pain and loss.
Right.
And also
Trayvon Martin was killed during President Obama's tenure as president.
Yeah.
Right?
So, it's interesting, this idea of Black folks' disposition to change.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And we see that manifested in voter participation. We see it manifested in who people vote for. Sometimes they feel like change is the worst time. And let me not say they, but we feel like change is the worst thing that can happen to my situation.
Like, let's just keep it with what I know. I want to be with the devil I know.
Even if I got 0, it's better than negative.
Exactly. 3. You so right.
Yeah.
So, and I just speaking on that, and even still knowing all of that, we was like, all right, we're going to get on the radio, tell people to go vote. Because it's also a part of it also is like the engagements, right? We want Black people to keep hearing about the Black Nashville Assembly so they feel moved to organize and work with us. And so I just want to move into what we learned, at least in the Black Nashville Assembly during our work. For me, I know I learned like relationships matter. The folks who we were like, yo, they came out and voted. During our barbecue that we had at the end of July, the last day of early voting, a lot of them were folks who we text them, we called them, we emailed them to remind them to come vote. They ate chicken with us and then went in and voted at the Bordeaux Library, right? Yeah. And then the other thing is that I'm like, people need multiple forms of engagement. So that's why we was on the radio, we text people, we called them, we had the block meeting, concert, all of that. As a part of also like base building. And I think too many times we try to like separate a divorce, organizing from the electoral work, and also forget that the voting and elections is a tool in our broader organizing work, right? And so we're organizing and a muscle. Yeah, that has to be built. That's a good point. Right. And so what I'm learning, just looking at those the statistics, the data from the last few elections, local elections, I'm like, yo, our muscles they not strong, right?
No, you're right.
And the Black National Assembly is the protein our people need, right? Okay, come on.
Creatine we need.
Oh Lord.
It's the protein.
Okay.
And protein can come from broccoli,
Potatoes?
broccoli, potatoes.
I don't know if protein is in potatoes.
Well, I don't know,
I'm gonna keep it 100.
but I think it is broccoli and spinach.
I just wanted to.
Chickpeas?
Say chicken, but it's vegans.
Yeah,
whatever.
that's why I'm naming like chickpeas. Tofu.
Shout out to Royalty Eats.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's really hungry. But I'm just saying, we the protein our people need to strengthen our muscle, not just around voting, but even around like the practice of democracy, right? To be like making decisions in our neighborhoods through our block meetings to be like, let's decide we're going to get this life fixed. Let's decide what we're going to do together if our young people are engaging in activities that young people engage in. But how do we make sure they're safe when they do it, right? How do we make sure they're cared for? Like making decisions on building infrastructure that supports an environment where our young people can thrive. Like that is our work, right? To build towards and practice that democracy. And I always say practice when I think about, I want to be clear what I mean when I say practice, because I often think about it like we say practice law and we say practice, you practice medicine, because it's a thing that it's like, I'm not perfect at it, right? I'm always learning and growing. And so the practice of democracy, we get real results, but that also means that we're always growing. We're always taking in new data, new information to continue to evolve and transform and how we approach it. So I just wanted to name that. Did y'all have any lessons y'all want to share as just doing Black National Assembly work during this election season? You kind of named them.
Yeah.
Like the trust thing.
But there's also something else. There's Black Nashville Votes.
Right. You want to get into that now?
Let's get into that. So
what did we do?
So Black Nashville Votes, we developed a voter guide. So a lot of times we have people like me, like others that don't really know where to start in this whole electoral politics journey. It's like people get out there and tell you to vote. They got campaign signs.
They just be saying vote. I don't care who you vote for. Vote. That is a horrible thing to say to a person.
No, it's very dark. That's dark to just be like, go out there and vote and not even have any political analysis or not even have any side that you're like, yo, vote for this. Because a lot of times we'll see stuff on the ballot. It'll say vote yes on one. Nigga, I don't know
what
if
is the one or the two.
Are we bringing back slavery? I don't know what one is. So I think Black Nashville Votes, our sister organization to the Black Nashville Assembly, is our electoral work. And we're legally allowed to endorse candidates, support candidates, and develop a voter guide based on a few factors. One of those factors is a questionnaire that we sent out to people that are running for council. It's also based on previous work that those people have done in this city. Maybe our members have done with them, their relationship with neighbors, their relationships in the community, and who we feel like we can work alongside with to achieve change and growth and the ability to thrive as a Black person in Nashville.
Mm-hmm. And I think the other thing is the Black Nashville Votes, when we started, we adopted the Black National Assembly political agenda.
Absolutely.
And so then we asked candidates, we created questions based off the political agenda. So it was really like, yes or no, would you push forward this policy that's in our political agenda? And we included the folks who had the highest scores in our voter guide. And so
let me make it real plain. So the Black Nashville Assembly, sister organization to Black Nashville Votes, the Black Nashville Assembly had a series of forums. We called it Black Ballot Week. And we talked to a lot of those people that were running for election. Mm-hmm. Alice Rowley did not show up. You know what I'm saying? Obviously. But most of the people that were running for election, they did come through. And they spoke their piece. And a lot of those folks did not get received well by the people. And some of them
didn't show up. Brandon didn't show up.
Yeah, Brandon Taylor didn't come.
Or Alice Rowley.
Or Alice Rowley.
Wow.
Okay, well, that's a crazy contrast. That's crazy.
I'm just saying they didn't show up.
No, you're right. Neither one of them came for whatever reason. And I think it was very it was an interesting process for me too. Like, I'm a rapper at the end of the day. I feel like an artist. I feel like, you know, I'm a black kid from Nashville that went to Pearl and marched in a marching band. Like, this isn't necessarily where I thought I would find myself in this moment. But also, I care about what happens to my community, and I care about my family and my nieces and my newborn nephew. So I think what Black Ballot Week did was allow people to speak and hear a contrast. So much so that we were one of the first forums and platforms that allow people to debate against each other, that allow people to rebuttal against each other.
And it got spicy, y'all.
It got spicy. There's stuff on the Black Nashville Assembly YouTube. You can go watch it.
We were the only, not the first.
Yeah.
Nah, that's real. Because we got heart and we actually mean what we say. No, we need you to be clear about what you gonna do about housing, about public safety.
To the point to where we asking folks, is you gonna do this, yes or no? And people from the crowd is saying, hey, it's yes or no. Like, don't dance. Like,
no, they was. Are you gonna fully fund metro schools? Well, no, bruh. Are you gonna do it or not?
So that's Black Ballot Week. We had forums where candidates could say, this is what I stand for, this is what I'm rolling on. Prior to Black Ballot Week, we developed a black political agenda
over 2 years.
Community members over 2-3 years, really, where folks got to pitch in and say, these are my top issues. This is what I see. If it changes today, it changes my material conditions immediately.
Right.
And our political agenda is built on that. So I say all of that
and
to
we use people moving assemblies to develop that political agenda.
That's our structure. And we want to share that with anybody who's, you know, across the South thinking about organizing their communities and looking at different systems, structures, and infrastructures to make that happen. But we did all of that, developed a political agenda, and then we started a sister organization we started it, but a sister organization was born that adopted the Black Nashville Assembly's political agenda, right? So now those candidates, we ask them questions on our questionnaire that are directly correlated to that political agenda. That political agenda is what black community members in Nashville have said.
You just laid such a great foundation.
These are the most important things to me. Individual person. Shout out to all the homies we talk to. We on doors, we on streets, we on blocks, talking to people. These are the most important things to me. That's the political agenda. And the Black Nashville Assembly said, okay, cool, these elected politicians have to choose a side. Are you rocking with what I actually need or not? So the questionnaire was designed to reflect the political agenda and figure out who sides with us and who does not. Right. So we ranked those answers with points, with the point system per question that lets you know, okay, they agree with this, they don't agree with that. Whoever is most in alignment with us, we can rock with them as Black Nashville Votes. And those are the people that we suggested on our voter guide. So blacknashvillevotes.org, you can see some of the folks that scored the highest on our voter guide, as well as showed a track record to be able to work with the people and be interested in listening to the people. Because sometimes it's not just answering a question on a piece of paper. Because you can say anything you want to say. We're aware of that. But what have you done in the past? Who do you know? Who are you accountable to? Who are your people? And when we figure that out, when we factor all of those things in, we determine who are the people that we feel we can most likely create change for in Nashville.
Yeah. And, you know, our voter guide wasn't necessarily an endorsement, but those were like the folks we're naming that scored the highest on our questionnaire. That was based on the political agenda. And folks can check it out also on Black Nashville Votes Instagram.
Yeah.
What's the Instagram?
I think it's Black Nashville Votes.
Yeah, you can check that out there too. And so just in that vein, our Black Nashville Vote, right, we did the voter guide. We also, the voter guide included like a number of candidates. It didn't, you know, over 12 people ran for mayor. So you can imagine if we got 35, 40 other council seats, how many people?
It was 88 people total that ran for office.
88 people running.
And so
for
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people made it to our voter guide. We have a very high standard. We want to shout out to the folks who
very strong.
And we're not lowering it.
There were 3 successful candidates. Jenny Welsh was successful, Joy Kimbrough and Zolfat Sawar, and then a few folks came really close. So shout out to them. And also, think about the work that we plan to do over the next 4 years in building power so that we continue to strengthen and build our muscle around both building democracy and practicing democracy. You kind of talked a little bit about what you learned, Mike, but I'm curious if, what are some things that you learned in the Black Nashville Votes work? Because I know we also canvassed as Black Nashville Votes. Yeah. We phone banked as Black Nashville Votes.
Man, we was in the hottest summer in the history of Earth. You feel me? We outside sweating through white T-shirts, knocking on people's doors, and talking to our folks and finding our folks and figuring out what do people care about. You know what I'm saying? What is it? What is it that makes somebody want to get up and go vote? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? One of the candidates that was on our voter guide was Jamel Campbell Gooch. We canvassed in District 21, and we talked to a lot of people, some of which said, ain't nobody ever knocked on my door. Ain't nobody ever came over here before. Nope. You know what I'm saying? They scared to come over here. They don't want to be out here. And we feel like one thing that we all share in the Black Nashville Assembly is wherever our people are, we going there. We going there. I don't care what it look like.
What say we coming.
Look. Expect me like you expect Jesus, in the words of Tupac Shakur.
Y'all?
Look, okay, never mind. Expect me, nigga. I'm coming. But nah, that's what he said, and that's how we moving. Like we going wherever our people
move with the power of Jesus Christ. Ain't that a word somewhere
wait,
they was like?
Wait. We don't all feel that way.
You right, my bad.
Bring it on in.
He said I left you with power, but I do want to say a lot of folks go to church, but they forget they got power. So I'm just saying we got power, whether it's coming from your ancestors or your belief in a higher deity.
We may need to have a whole podcast with pastors, deacons, whoever, about the separation of church and state and what that actually means for Black folks. But that's just the idea.
That's real.
That's just the idea. Let me bring us back on
Okay,
track.
let's bring it back.
So what the Black Nashville Assembly did was we went into Black areas in Nashville. We talked
Black Nashville Assembly or Black Nashville Votes?
I'm sorry, Black Nashville Votes, our sister organization, not the Black Nashville Assembly.
Black Nashville Votes.
What the Black Nashville Votes did was we go to people's doors. We knock on the actual door where they live at. We go to events. We go to places where our folks gather, and we talk to them about the candidates that we support, and then let them know, like, yo, you got the option to voice what you think is what should happen in this electoral system. What we found a lot of times is, one, there's been a ton of gentrification and a lot of our people has been pushed out. Two, another thing we found was that the belief in the electoral system is completely shattered because the system doesn't really reflect the needs of my people or support the needs of my people. And that's a valid claim. Three, another thing that we found is that some of our folks are a lot of our folks are disenfranchised.
1 in 5 Black people in Tennessee.
1 in 5. So we found all of these things and we're like, okay, cool. Let's gather this information. Let's synthesize it. Let's figure out how we can move forward. But let's also participate in what this is, because this is the system that's controlling what my neighborhood looks like. This is the system that controls what the schools are doing. This is the system that controls what the roads and the trash pickup and down to the most minute thing. If you're paying taxes and it's ran by the government, you have some kind of say-so. So we found a lot of those things and a lot of those issues. We talked to a Black lady out north that said they ain't cut these trees back since we moved over here, and we ain't got the street light visible. Yeah. So it's dark.
That was District 21?
District 21.
Dang, that's wild.
And that's dangerous. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's kids living out here. There's older folks living out here. We need the structural implications made so that we can be safe. So we really spent time with our people this summer. It was hot. It was hills. It's Nashville, Tennessee with 100+ degree. I don't even know what the heat index was. Probably felt like 110.
For real. I remember July 4th. It was so
And we out there. Shout out to Vibe. Shout out to Maxine. Chuck.
Chinyere.
Haley, Vay. A lot of our people.
Okay.
A lot of our people was outside.
Quite a few of them were
putting in work. right? Whether it was every day, we had some people that was out there every day. We had some people that showed up when they could, when they got off work.
Real. And that's mad love for real.
And that's what this community thing is all about.
Really.
For real. So that's Black Nashville Votes. You know, that's what we move. It just started this year. We're very new to this whole environment. We're very new to all of these things, but we moving with a particular politic in mind, with a particular care for Black
and a commitment to organizing our people during and beyond elections.
No, I'm gonna be real now. Some people say I don't vote and slam the door in our face.
Yeah, and some of them, it was some Black folks and some white folks who did that.
Yeah,
actually, I'm gonna be real with you. I met more white folks who said they didn't vote than I met Black people.
You know why?
That was
they be
interesting.
lying too, though. They
were lying.
They vote for Alice Rowley.
They was like, I don't vote. I was like, all right, cool. So thank you for that, Mike. I want to, of course, shout out to those folks that you named: Vibe, Chuck, Maxine,
Devin,
Haley, Vague, Trey,
Omari,
Ebony. Okay, let's start over to name the people.
Bria.
Okay, Omari Booker. Omari Booker. Yep, that's good. Yeah. Shout out to them. Just amazing people. Thank you for all that work. I mean, I vote for partnering with us, even just on the get out the vote work. Folks really stuck it out. Drea got out there. Namar got out there. Like, I just, so much appreciation to the folks who showed up and tried a thing and work and risk, like, you know, the summer heat and everything to be out there with our folks. So I just want to pass it to you, Jamel. I know that it's our moment to interview you, not as a BNA organizer, but really as the person who ran. You know, you ran.
Yeah.
And some folks walked for you to run. But I want to ask you, really, what were some things that you learned?
I mean, I learned several different things. I started with one that's kind of complex. We ran a people centered campaign. You know, we didn't have any paid staff. It was all volunteers. A lot of people's first time participating in a electoral campaign at this level. Although people might have done phone banking before or knocked on doors before, because we do that on a daily basis. It was just for a different spirit and a different reason. And so one thing that was interesting is that as we ran that campaign, all the things that did not want a District 21 or a North Nashville that was centered on the people actually combined on the opposite end. So in District 21, there's cliques of developers who are already jostling for power. They even tried to run a third candidate who was very close to us at one point in time.
Yeah.
And so one thing that I learned,
snitches and rats.
Even when one thing I learned is that there's always a possibility that two opposing forces will find commonality and not wanting a thing. And
that's real.
Over to the other side. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first thing I learned. The second thing I learned is that this is also, I don't know how to explain this.
Take your time.
The second thing I learned is that sometimes, like, and this is like very unfortunate, like the person that we ran against didn't come to no community meetings, didn't come to no community forums, wouldn't sit down in front of the people in any sort of way. So I think there was also an opportunity that was lost. Yeah. In making sure that Black folks would actually see the difference between two candidates.
And even just like practicing democracy and
for sure. Yeah. And there was just like no spirit of that coming out from the other side. Now there was excuses on why it couldn't happen, but it was never able to manifest over the life of the entire election. And I think that was very, that
started in April, early.
And I think that was very unfortunate. Let's provide some clarity. Jamel Campbell Gooch ran against Brandon Taylor in District 21. Yep. At no point in time, me as a Black Nashvilleian, homegrown, at no point in time did I ever see y'all at the same event at the same time.
Nope. Even if he was invited. Yeah. Never showed up. Yeah. Never showed up. And so it was unfortunate because I do think that we need to move into a spirit of debate.
For sure,
people out here
we deserve that
are willing to debate in front of people.
Debate the ideas.
So that people can make up their mind on where they're going.
And let's figure out, let's be wrong. Let's be right. Let's figure it. Let's ask each other the hard questions. Let's tell each other the truth. Let's tell each other what we think and what we feel and what we represent and what we stand for. Let's do that with each other so that we all can grow. It's not about clashing. It's about figuring out what's best for our people.
Yeah.
And if we're not willing to do that, we're not going to get nowhere.
Yeah, and that was unfortunate. And what's also interesting is the previous race where he actually beat Ed Kendall. He did that.
They debated?
They debated.
Oh, really?
At Huskies at Buchanan.
It's so interesting.
They debated in front of a room full of people. And so it's like also in churches. They also debated inside of a church.
Oh, he really wouldn't debate you.
Yeah, so he wouldn't.
Ducking the smoke.
So he wouldn't come. And I think that was, like I said, I think that was very unfortunate. And
it was an intentional decision on his part.
Absolutely. But very few times do black people actually get the opportunity to choose who their leader is. Mm-hmm. A lot of the times, even when it comes to black leadership, they're not essentially chosen by the majority of people. What's happening is that a lot of times people thrust themselves into leadership because they got more money.
Or they chosen by developers.
Or
corporate interests. And we've seen that.
Yes. And so that was another thing.
Or personal ego. That's another factor
for sure.
We saw a lot of during the electoral season.
And then the other thing that I learned, just like off top, is like people are eager to, if you invite someone to something in the South, they're going to accept the invitation. So it's like a lot of people, I feel, because we didn't lose by that much. We lost 60-40. That's not by that much, especially when going up an incumbent who is bankrolled.
Yeah.
Because I will say that person, they probably outspend us 3-1.
Yeah.
They sent so many mailers. That was the campaign on the other end. That's what we was against. Somebody with a lot of money that could just send out endless mailers. Mm-hmm. Even at one point in time, well, we ain't gonna get into that. But they sent home so many mailers that some folks would like calling me saying like, I got another mailer today. You know what I'm saying? That's how many mailers they being sent home. And so we had an uphill climb. But again, if you're inviting people into something, they will accept that invitation. And there's a sense of like pride that comes with the invitation. Like it was a lot of people that we talked to that was like, you know, of course, the area that I'm running in, the majority of it is in 37208, which has the highest incarceration rate for folks that were born in the 80s. But a lot of those people are home, but they can't vote.
Right.
So we saw a lot of those folks that were just like, I can't vote. You know what I'm saying? But we still invited them into doing the work.
What are some wins? Like some things you like, yo, this is a win.
I think that right there, drumming up support in that way. Because we told folks like, you can put a yard sign in your yard, but also, you know, just taking off my my candidate hat, I'm like, yo, like, I'm involved in this work outside of electoral.
Right.
You can come to an assembly if you can't vote.
Right,
You can come to a mass meeting. You can still participate in the political decision of this organization if you can't vote.
Right.
And that's fine. So I think that was a win, like drumming up support in that way. Two,
and then go ahead, yeah.
I think another win was it was obvious that our opponent didn't want to participate in democracy in that way. Even to this date, the election has been over a month and no community meeting, no mass email out to the constituents of District 21, and I know because I'm on that email list. And what's interesting is there's things that are coming to the district. Right. One thing that we used to talk about is they are talking about putting a Major League Baseball stadium in District 21.
Right.
Because that's the only place that is that close to the city that has any free land. Everything else has been any open land. Everything else has been gentrified to hell.
Right.
But there's no community conversations happening at all.
So we got to have them.
Exactly. And going door to door, we saw that $22,000 medium income that is 37208.
Right.
We saw that. And we saw various projects that I'm really excited to work on. So I think that was also a win.
And then the other win, I want to name one, but go ahead.
I think another win is just like real fast. It's just like if we knocked on every door. We knocked on every single one. So we got a landscape analysis from the door.
That is extremely thorough.
Yeah.
We know what's going on in the district. Mm-hmm. So much so that literally on my block not too long ago, one thing that people were asking for, they was like, yo, we need speed bumps. One man was like, the bike lanes on my street make the street too small. And so when I park in front of my house, people hit it all the time.
Oh, no.
So we know that there's basic infrastructure things that need to happen. So much so.
Even lights.
That like 2 weeks ago, a car was going down one of the streets so fast that it lost control and ran into another house.
No.
On the street. So it's like, and nobody was hurt, but we know those people want those simple things.
Right. And it's also that also creates safer communities, like more lights, speed bumps,
narrow
things
streets.
like that.
Yep.
Absolutely. The other win I want to name, just before we move into like start bench cut, is like people who have never voted in local elections voted before. Like people who were in community with and in relationship with was like, I had never voted in a local election until y'all knocked on my door and asked me to vote in a local election. Because folks are like, used to voting in the presidential election.
Another win is, man, we were honest on them doors.
Mm-hmm.
People saying like how you feel about this developer, how you feel about that developer, and we just straight up telling them like, nah, we don't rock with them.
Yeah,
they are coming to exploit us. They are taking advantage of the fact that we are not communicating
and doing it
neighbors.
Now, like currently.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was the interesting thing.
That's absolutely right. I appreciated the opportunity to really build power with our folks to have everyday Black people, like you said, you played the trumpet at Pearl Cone, never saw yourself doing something like that, and look at you doing it. Yeah. Like that's the power of building a movement and inviting people into a practice. Yeah. And so for us, we're excited about going into the last quarter of this year and into next year about the other work we're going to do together outside of this summer election.
And it's a tradition. I mean, North Nashville has hella potential.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and there's a tradition of mobilization and work that is like waiting to be resparked and activated, and we got a chance to see that potential.
I love that. I feel like I learned so much, again, just by recapping with y'all. I wanted to move into start bench cut, right? Who want to go first?
You want to explain what start bench cut is, Eric?
Would you like to do that?
No, let's see. If
I got it. Here we
Thank
go.
you.
It's a sports analogy. You feel me? Start. That means you rocking with them straight out. That's your Kobe. I got to get them on my team.
Kobe or LeBron?
Oh, Lord.
Kobe or LeBron.
You don't even watch basketball.
I do.
We're not pitting Black men against each other. I love them both as athletes and as Black men.
I love one more,
top 3
but
greats
yes.
of all time.
Yeah.
So start. Boom. We got to rock with them.
Yep.
Bench. I'm not so much feeling it.
Yeah.
But maybe we can make some shake. Cut. Get them out of here.
Yes, sir.
Get them out of here.
Okay.
Don't want them on my team.
I'll
Start bench cut.
I'll
What you
go
got?
first.
What you got?
So my start bench cut is formation of local government. We finna get real geeky here, okay? Okay?
Geek Squad.
It's whatever you prefer. It can be whatever reason, all right? Here we go. Right now, Nashville is a mayor-dominant system. That means our mayor can particularly do whatever they want to do. They can pass any law. They can veto anything. Would you prefer a mayor-dominant system with a 40-person city council, a mayor-dominant system with a 20-person city council, or a mayor management system where the mayor is a part of the city council? Ooh. And all they do is facilitate the meetings.
Delicious. Like kind of how the vice mayor is now.
Yes. With 40 of them.
40 of them?
Oh, hold on. 30. Let's do that.
30.
Because the mayor management system going to be smaller.
I'm
So
going.
mayor management 30.
I already know what I want.
Mayor management 30. Mayor dominant 20. And that 20 is full-time city council members.
Okay. A mayor dominant 40.
And then a mayor dominant 40 where all of city council are part-time and have day jobs.
I want to go with mayor. Start. Mayor is management with 30-person city council.
Why?
I would believe that it makes democracy more possible because right now, as a mayor-dominant system, it's a little bit more difficult to get to the mayor, right? Okay. And the mayor's making decisions across the city, whereas the council will actually be more in touch with people on the ground.
On the district level.
On the district level.
So that means the council would choose the mayor, by the way. That's what that means.
That's kind of...
Because
that's another... Because the mayor added that on the,
you added that on the fly.
Because the mayor is facilitating. The mayor is a member of city council.
Right. Okay. But our vice mayor... Yeah. Our vice mayor is... We vote on the vice mayor. Okay.
Yeah, I think the people should...
Are you trying to beat me up?
Yeah.
We admit it.
Say what I want you to say.
We admit it. Okay.
So then for 2, mayor of course, I'm going with...
You start the mayor management.
Mayor management. 2, I'm starting with mayor dominant 20 council.
So you're benching mayor dominant 20 council.
Yeah.
So you're getting the current structure out of here.
Yeah, I don't like the current structure. I'm sorry. The current structure came about because of anti-blackness anyways, to prevent the rise of a black mayor. Right, and to even and then again, also, even though like folks was confusing using confusing language, I'm not sure why they thought it was true, but to even filter the black vote, right, to sanitize the black vote. That's how we got to the 40-person council seat. So I'm going with 20. I think 20 is great, full time. Folks can actually manage the city, because right now council members are really stretched thin, because it's like, dang, also I got to work another job unless I got money. So it also makes it difficult for people who don't have like the wealth or the money to be able to for real dedicate their full time to being in council to actually do it all the way for real. So people are having to like, it becomes a classism thing too. So I'm going for that. Okay. So yeah, I'm going for that. I'm rocking with that. So I hope in 4 years we can downsize Metro Council.
Oh Lord, that might make some headlines.
I mean, that's the truth. I'm gonna be honest.
But yeah, there was a lot of jostling over like the purpose of a 40-person city council. That was interesting.
Yeah,
watching history be used in that way and misused. I
was like, why are we misremembering history?
Yeah, and then the thing about, and I think they just like capitalized, because one thing that we even learned, well, that I learned during the campaign, is that a lot of people don't understand the role of a city council person.
Right. No, that's real too.
So because they don't interact with it, they might not understand that shit. You having to get 21 people to vote on something similar, it's going to be very difficult.
Oh, for real. Yeah. And at this point, it's only 22 people passing everything anyways. Once you get that 22 people locked in, you like, all right, this is where it's going. That's how it was with LPRs. That's how it was with the Titan Stadium. So, Mike, what's your start bench? What you doing?
I'll say I'm going to go mayor management first. Starting that. I like it. I think one person shouldn't be able to shake the system up so much, because what we've also seen is that money wins elections. You got to have the dollars. And the dollars, a lot of times, we in Nashville, we in Tennessee, them dollars come from old money. We know where old money come from down south.
Yes, sir.
Enslavement of black people.
Yeah, it comes from the enslavement and the exploitation of black folks. Yep. So I'm not trying to put more power, because that's where you come from. That's crazy to me.
Right, no, it is.
So let's just let you facilitate. You feel me? And we're gonna let the people decide who get to interact with that. I'm a bench.
Who you benching?
I'm gonna bench the 40 ball. I mean, no. I'm gonna bench the 20 ball, because we don't. It's too many city council members, in my opinion. It's too many. I don't think it makes any sense for us to have this many city council folks working part-time, because their ability to focus on the people's needs is not counterbalanced with their ability to take care of their families and their ability to worry about how their lights gonna stay on. So when it come down to it, I'm gonna serve the job that pays me more. If I got kids, if I got a wife, if I got a husband, if I got whatever, if I got people that I have to provide for, what's gonna come first is me being able to provide for them. Mm-hmm. And it's too much of our dignity, our quality of life, depending upon you showing up fully in that space where it shouldn't be a part-time gig. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me, for that to be a side hustle. Like, that just don't make no sense.
An actual side hustle.
Yeah. So I'm cutting the 40. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm cutting the 40. It don't make sense for a bunch of people to work kinda. And when so much is so important to the people in this city.
For sure.
I love that. I love that. That was a good one, Jamel.
Thank you so much.
That was a good one.
It was for the nerds, for the politicals.
Thank you to the nerds.
That phone call definitely about to come.
Holla at me.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Uh-oh.
I know we got to keep it hip-hop over here.
Yes, Sirski.
Start, bench, cut. Sexy Red.
Oh, my God.
Now, let's think about what it means to be Sexy Red.
My goodness.
Sexy Red, okay.
You went to school with Sexy Red.
Hellcats, SRT, yes, sir.
We went to school with Sexy Red.
I know it.
Big Sexy.
I know it for real.
Or do we want the dashiki, fist in the air, social commentary
Who is that?
artist. I don't know.
Because it ain't no name. She don't wear dashikis.
I'm not playing the name on that. Let me change it.
That's
when it comes to art.
Yeah.
You want the streets.
Raw
and uncut.
Yeah.
You want the conscious folks. Raw and uncut, how the conscious folks show up.
Yeah.
Or you want the industry. We just coming polished, shiny.
Yeah.
The Drake records, you know what I'm saying? It sounds good. It feels everything is perfect.
Who is the woman version of like the Drake records? The industry.
I say Cardi. I say
Meg.
This is
I say Doja Cat.
This is easy.
Oh, Doja. No, we don't do Doja Cat.
I mean, them records though.
But them records is big.
I can't name one Doja Cat song.
Okay, I bet you if it come on, you dance to it.
You ain't gonna know it's Doja.
Probably.
Them Doja Cat records sound good.
That's interesting. So we talking about the highest form of each one.
I'm saying
like the highest form of the streets.
I'm saying in your car. In your car.
What am I playing?
Yeah.
Who start bench cut? Who getting this burn?
So I can go first. So I'm gonna start the streets.
Okay.
So folks like Sexy Red, Big Moochie, Key Glock, Dolph.
Yeah.
You think Dolph is the streets?
They get
for sure.
Hey, what?
Okay.
What? You don't think Dolph is the streets?
100 shots.
PRE, Paper Route Empire. What are we talking about?
She like the Are You So Assistant to law school?
Listen to that.
That sounds industry to me, but go on.
It's only street dudes.
I hear that. I get. Oh, that's an interesting point you just made. But go ahead.
Not because it's law school, but I just feel like
no. I get what you're saying.
When Dolph verse came out, I'm not gonna lie, it's probably why they was into it. I thought he was Yo Gotti. I'm sorry. The first time I heard Preach, I was like, Yo Gotti got a nice new song. That was like,
you literally thought he was Yo Gotti.
Erica don't.
All right, we're gonna stop that right there. Jamel, please continue with what you were saying.
It was at a party.
It's okay. We don't need no more about that.
I'm starting the streets.
Okay, boom.
Okay, I am benching the conscious rap.
Oh, really? Who's your conscious rappers though?
No name right now.
Okay. Anybody else?
Project is good.
No name. See, the thing that I'm struggling with is sometimes I want to hear something that's gonna make me think.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? Like I want to. Like I
21 don't make you think.
I would call 21 Street the 21 I listen to is the Red Ops.
He don't win industry. Y'all think he win? Slaughter Game. Okay, I hear you.
Slaughter Game 1. Like that's
not 2.
Not 2. Like,
not running.
No. And that is some street. You know what I'm saying?
And that is real.
But it's like the only thing the only thing that's tricky is when you start bringing in folks like Gunna, and who's polished,
but also the streets,
fresh out of jail,
and sold out the Barclays
by itself,
and had them going up, boy. Every word.
He pushing P
all day.
Okay, so you benching,
but I'm
the
benching
industry.
I'm benching conscious. I'm cutting.
You cutting the industry.
Cutting the industry.
Who is the industry? You cutting Drake?
Got to.
Drake.
Okay, Erica, what you got?
The man that hit his kid from the world or hide his kid from the world.
Drake.
All right. What's your?
I got a Star Soldier. No, I'm playing.
Big Soldier. Shout out Big Soldier. He was just here.
Big
here too. Big Draco.
Oh shit.
The first that did it.
The first ever for real. He put Drake on.
I just want my credit like Soldier.
Okay, this is hard.
I know, right?
This is hard. It's really hard because I think for me, I have to distinguish between what's industry and what's the streets and what's conscious.
Because all of them can blur together at any point.
Yeah, that's why it's hard. But I think like if you say the streets, Sexy Red,
Yep.
21.
Yep.
Who else is in the streets?
A lot of people from Memphis. Dirk
in the street.
I mean,
NBA.
When they started.
Yeah.
So then we talking about people when they first get out.
No, don't try to put too
I
much
don't know.
sauce
I'm
on
just
it.
trying to
answer the question, bro.
Okay. This hard.
Yeah, you getting all lawyery.
Nah, I'm just thinking about also what I listen to in the car.
What do you listen to? You are industry. Let me tell. I'm gonna tell you.
I'm not an industry. What gets me hype? What makes me want to go work? Running.
Okay. By
I keep all my cars running.
Yeah.
Okay. Wipe his nose.
So answer the question.
Okay. 21.
Okay. So you start in the streets.
I'm sorry.
So you starting the streets?
I gotta start 21 now.
Are you starting the streets?
Yeah, I'm starting the streets.
All right, bet.
Who you benching? You got industry.
I'm benching industry. I like Drake. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So you cutting the conscience.
I got to.
Ah!
I be in it deep. I'm always reading, bro. I'm always working.
I got
I'm
enough
sorry,
of
I
that.
got enough of it.
And a lot of the conscious niggas
I be trying to cheat.
don't really be that for real.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
it.
I'm
I like
reading.
it.
I read every morning, y'all. Okay.
I like it.
That's a good one. That was a good one. Yes.
Okay.
Mine is cars though.
Okay.
Okay, come on.
Okay.
It better be good cars. Don't.
No,
be
it is. It's really. I'm thinking about.
tragic
Hell,
cars.
Trucks.
SRTs.
It ain't that
Come on.
Jeep.
Jeep.
Jeep what?
Like the Jeep, the one that kind of like you got
The Wrangler.
regular.
Oh Lord Jesus.
The Bronco.
Which one? The new one.
The new one.
That's a truck.
The new Bronco.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the Durango.
Oh, that's easy.
Oh, that's interesting
That's
what
easy.
you did.
That's easy.
That's
Already.
interesting.
I got mine already. I'm
right.
starting the Durango.
Why? It's fast.
No, I just look really nice.
Nah, dude, that Durango so
And
nice.
The design of it is clean.
Especially
It
a new one?
It look like a big old Charger.
Yeah, yeah.
Give me one that's all white.
Oh, wow.
with the
that.
tinted windows.
Cocaine white.
All day long.
He gonna tint the windshield.
And then for sure. And then I'm gonna bench the Bronco.
Really?
Wow.
I'm cutting the Jeep.
Really?
Wow.
Why are you cutting the Jeep? It be in the shop.
Yes. I'll just tease you.
Y'all know that hurts my heart. My baby been in the shop for a little bit.
The
You know.
Jeep, the Jeep looks sometimes it look too clunky. It just
Okay.
looks the Bronco look more. The newer Bronco look a little bit more modern.
The Bronco look like a toy car
And I'll say
from
the
Mars.
Bronco and the Durango faster, too.
Oh, they are? That makes sense.
They handle speed way better.
You ain't getting no... I drive a Jeep Wrangler. You ain't getting no speed in that Jeep. I'm going to keep it on.
Nah, it's humble. You gotta drive the
But
speed.
I'm going to say this, though.
What you start?
Starting that Wrangler all day.
You just being loyal.
No, you can't take the doors off the Durango.
That's fair. That's a
the
good
Bronco.
point.
You
That's a
can't
good
take
point.
The roof. You can't take the roof
That's
off
a good
the
point.
Durango.
You're right. But you can only take the root. Well, nah, we
And
live in
also, so I'm going to
the
start...
climate crisis. So
I'm
all
gonna start
the
the
time.
Jeep. I'm gonna start the Jeep Wrangler. Shout out to Cash Money taking over for the 99 and the 2000.
2000s.
Shout out to Paid in Full. Shout out to being off road. Shout out to being outside. Shout out to
Okay,
being
you
able to
making
drive
points.
over sidewalks and create your own parking spot wherever you need to. It's a very
Okay.
convenient mode of transportation.
But it stay in the shop though. It's sickly.
No, mine is sickly. The Jeep homies, they're not in a position that I'm
okay.
in. I just so happen to, caught a bad break. But it's
Damn,
okay.
I'm
We
sorry.
pushing through. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna turn this into a public debacle, but I'm gonna allow it to run. I'm a bench the Durango.
Okay.
I
yeah.
like the Durango now.
Yeah.
I like the Durango
It's nice.
now.
The Durango go up.
And I believe, if I'm not wrong, you can get the SRT Durango.
Yes, you can.
For real?
I believe you can.
That changes it.
It's like the Trackhawk.
Yeah, you can. You can get the SRT Durango.
I would put the Trackhawk over the Durango, but
What's a
that's
Trackhawk?
not the question.
Who
That's
made
not
it?
the
It's a Jeep track.
that's
Okay.
not the question we
You
have
didn't
right
ask
now.
that.
So we
Okay.
benching the Durango,
Yeah, that's that.
and I just can't drive a Ford.
That's real.
I just feel like
the Fords are hard
I
to
gotta
drive.
wear the MAGA hat.
No,
I just
you're not
feel
wrong.
like it
You're
come-
not wrong.
It come with the Republican voter ballot. Like I just don't think I can do that.
Like a RAV4.
You gotta
Yeah.
vote in the Republican primary.
You got a Bronco.
I don't feel like Candace Owens is pre-programmed in the radio.
real,
You
the
feel me? Like, I
podcast.
just can't. Now
real.
the old Bronco that OJ had, we can
box
talk.
one.
We
The
can
box
talk.
Bronco.
If it's white, we can talk. The new Bronco, it's very cool looking. I can't drive it. I can't do it.
That's real.
real.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a good point. Nah, but for real, this was really dope. I had fun catching up with y'all. I want to invite folks to join us on our political engagement tour. We're going to be in Chattanooga.
We in
Yes, sir.
Chattanooga on October 13th. We also are going to be in Paris on October 21st. Paris, Tennessee, that is.
They speak French down there,
and
too.
we
though.
also coming to Memphis in the fall, and we doing something in Nashville in the fall. So just stay tuned, man. It's the Meeting 3 tour, Southern Movement Committee.
Come on. Curated, produced, directed by Mike Floss.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
Curated, directed, and produced by the people. That's how we rock it.
That's real. Sir. I love it. Come on for the humility. So, what's coming up on the 30th?
We have our post-election mass meeting on the 30th, September 30th, Saturday. Starting at 1, you have to register. So you go to blacknashvilleassembly.org/mass meeting and you'll get the location.
And if you didn't get a text from us reminding you to come the other day, please make sure you register so we can add you to our text list so you can make sure you get them phone calls and them text messages from your homies.
Look, if you're hearing this right now, DM the Black Nashville Assembly Instagram and say, I want to get on the text list. We'll make sure you get on there.
We will.
Absolutely. Thank y'all so much for a great and amazing podcast episode. Hit us up in the comments, in the chat, on YouTube, on Instagram, so we can be in conversation with folks. Thank you so much. And share it with a friend.
And as always,
peace. In the word of Chairman Fred Hampton, peace if you're willing to fight for it. And we know you're willing to fight for it. So peace to you.
Peace my friends.